racing immediately. But a champion becomes a legend. Makybe Diva wins it again.
Yes, yes, yes. Wins the Everest. Glenn Boss wins another big one.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Who's the Boss? I'm Julie Snook and joining me now is the boss himself. Bossy, lovely to have you back.
Good to be back.
I missed you.
Yeah, we do. The week's too long.
I don't like it when you leave home.
No. I know, because we do it every fortnight, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a bit too long, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We see each other all the time, but, you know, in the flesh.
In the flesh.
You're here
it's so much better.
Every fortnight. We've got a huge show coming up, and one of the biggest names in racing is joining us on the show today. Yeah. We'll get to that in a second. Of course, if you're listening, if you're watching, thank you. Please keep.
Yeah, those three people out there, we thank you so much.
Mum, Dad, thank you so much for your support. You can find us, of course, on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok, and also on YouTube as well at Who's the Boss Pod, and of course anywhere that you get your amazing podcast content.
Correct.
Because that's who we are.
That's where we are.
We're amazing podcast content.
We are. Mate, we're getting numbers, mate. We're getting traction.
Yeah, we are. Don't you worry about that. Also, don't forget, this episode of Who's the Boss is proudly brought to you by AirTouch, the ultimate smart air conditioning controller for your home or business. I'm all about this as we're coming into the warmer months because it makes your life just that little bit easier. I know you're a guy who you're a smooth operator. You like things done before you get there.
Yeah, I like things done before I get there.
Yeah.
So if I'm out playing golf, stinking hot,
yeah.
in the afternoon in Queensland, it's 20, 30 degrees, it's 30 degrees, it's stinking hot, and all you want to do is come home to a cool house. I'm driving back and I pull over.
Yes, because you don't text.
And I just go, boop, 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 get home, and it is perfect.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get home and then get in the house and wait 20 minutes for the damn thing to cool down. I want it to be cool when I get back.
With your AirTouch, you can control the temperature in any room right from your phone or smart device in the palm of your hand, essentially. No matter where you are, it is like having climate control in the palm of your hand, as I said. So for more information, head to airtouch.net.au. You can be like Bossy and go boop, 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 and get home.
You can get the app that does it, make that sound for you.
Boop, 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 boop. Bossy.
We'll have to speak to AirTouch and see if they can make that noise for you.
Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
We have a huge weekend of racing ahead of us, but I want to touch on the weekend we've just seen very, very quickly because there's a few points of note. First of all, Broadsiding. Talk to me.
I think he went outstanding. I know he was beaten at odds on, so that's all people focus on. He got into the wrong. His race was over, won and lost in the first 100 metres because he got a fairly good shunt coming out of the barriers, and that forced J-Mac's hand. He had to go back to the fence. The track was probably riding on speed, leaderish, which Caulfield does. When Caulfield gets fast and a bit quick, same thing, but when it gets hard and quick, it's very hard to pull back the leaders because Caulfield's, you're running downhill and you go around quite a sharp turn and there's not a lot of straight. So if you're up front, you're going to run pretty good time, even though you've run quick time throughout the race. So horses from back have to break records, which they can't do. So broadsiding, and if you're going to get beat, Caulfield is a graveyard for Sydney horses, I promise you, because of the fact you actually are running down here, and it doesn't negative camber, but the camber is quite neutral. Mm-hmm. So where Moonee Valley, it's a uphill, it's a camber of, I think they've got a 6 or 7%. So horses are actually forced to go around the corner, where Caulfield, they're not.
Right.
So they can get on the wrong leg, Sydney horses, and lose lengths. And that's what happened to Broadside. He come around the corner, lost 2 or 3 lengths, and then he was ripping through the line. I'm still all over him for the Cox Plate. He reminds me, So You Think got beaten in the Guineas in a very similar way.
Right.
Got lost on the corner, didn't really know what he was doing, and made up ground through the line, which I like to see. And So You Think come out and won the Cox Plate. So that's a kind of where I think he sits.
Okay, interesting. James also had a lot to say about the track after that one.
Well, listen, he was heat of the moment stuff. He's come off and he's fuming the horse has got beat because it's his favourite horse, right? So he might have liked to have that comment back but listen, I've done that too. Yeah. I've come on and said, this track was not prepared the way it should be. And it was quicker than everyone anticipated, put it that way.
What about Blake Shinn? That ride in the Toorak was, it was something.
Yeah, well, Blake's very close to me and we're great mates. I've been saying he's equal of James for a long time. And that ride, he's been doing this for a long time, but it took a Group 1 where where the spotlight was on him for someone to see what he's been doing. What I love about Blake, he's got to a point where he has so much trust in his own abilities now. He's not thinking.
It's instinct.
He's doing things by instinct now. And he's not scared to be ridiculed if something doesn't go right.
Yeah.
Just say that horse, he whipped around him. He knew the pace of the race slowed significantly. From the 1,000 to the 600, you could actually see the race speed come out of the race. He actually just went the same speed, but he was going past horses because they were all doing this. And I love the fact that he's got the kahunas now to back himself, because these are what great jockeys do. Not good jockeys. This is what great jockeys do, and he's now in that space where he's becoming a great jockey, just because of the fact that he really goes out there and backs himself. And like, you've got to be void of being scared. That's the problem. Yeah. You know, people are too scared to make do something out of the box, because if it doesn't come off, I'm going to get smashed. But not only, I'm going to get smashed by the media, I'm going to get smashed by the public, the owner or the trainer is going to say something. You've got to be able to go out there and say, you know what, the pace slowed that much. At least I did something about it. It didn't work, but at least I did something. The worst thing you do is come back in and say, oh, they went too slow for me. I run home really fast, but the race didn't suit me. Fuck off. You go out there and make decisions. And whether you pull it off or not, but make it. The worst decision you'll ever make is the one you don't make. So for all you young boys out there and girls, do something.
Papa Boss just told you.
Yeah, well, I mean,
no,
just do it.
I'm not here to argue. Don't worry.
Oh, God, I'm angry.
And then just lastly, in the Roman Consul, Switzerland. Yep. We saw that run. We got that run that we were desperate to see from him.
Yeah, I've been his champion #1 fan club for him, and I haven't seen it. But Chris did allude that he wasn't quite there. They got it wrong first up.
Yeah.
He did tell me that. They got it wrong. They rode him too aggressively. The horse got it wrong. They got it wrong. So he's come out and got it right there and won. He beat an okay field, but he beat them really well.
Yeah.
I thought they would have chose him to go to the Everest.
Would you have chosen him to go to the Everest with that backup?
Yep, I would have.
Yeah.
But that's, Chris, I'm not in the inner sanctum, so I don't know how he pulled up and all that sort of stuff. But from the outside in, I would have put him in because he looks like he's got more tactical tools than Stormboy. Because I don't think, and to be very honest, Snooky, I don't think either colt can win.
Right.
That's honestly, I don't think they can win. They're not. I don't think they've got the brilliance to beat some of these good sprinters. Because Stormboy he missed a start, and if you miss a start in Everest, like he's not beating the boys at his own age because he's missing the start. How's he going to beat the older ones? Like I'm Bell and Neptune, and I wish I win. Look, these are stars, right? And they're so good at that distance. That 1,200 meters is their perfect distance, and they're so good. So I don't think they can win, and but I would have went with Switzerland.
Yeah, I was sort of I thought that too. But anyway, cool more. They've opted for Stormboy for this year's Everest. We'll chat about the Everest later in the show. There is a lot to dissect. Huge weekend of racing. Can't wait to get into it. But I actually can't wait to get into this week's guest because he is just obviously his name is one of the great names, Chris Waller, but he's also one of the great gentlemen and one of the great people.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the great trainers, you've got to put him in that because he's bordering on genius. Like he's something different about this guy. He thinks outside the box. Super intelligent. When you talk to someone and when you ask a question, you get a very measured answer. You don't just get an answer.
Measured.
A fluffy. No, you don't get a fluffy. The same old corny line comes out. You know what I mean? You can actually see when you ask him a question, he sits there and he thinks.
He does. And
then he gives you the answer that the response to that question that he thinks the right answer. He's not just bullshit fluffy stuff. He does things with horses. I've seen horses halfway through a prep and I think that horse is gone. It's lost its way. It should be go to the paddock or something, start again. No, he persists and persists and persists, and then he ends up winning a good race and going, oh, fuck, you're too good. You know what I mean? He got me again,
Yeah.
genius trainer, and he's got a big team, and he's got a great team behind him, and just so humble, hey?
He is such a humble guy, and it was a privilege and a pleasure to have Mr. Chris Waller here in the studio for Who's the Boss. Well, our next guest on Who's the Boss, I feel like it would be offensive to just list a few things, but he's a Hall of Fame trainer. There's been Melbourne Cups, Caulfield Cups, Cox Plakes, Doncasters, TJs, Queen Elizabeths, you name it. This man has achieved it. There's also been the one and only WINX. So without any further ado, please welcome to Who's the Boss, Mr. Chris Waller. Welcome.
Thank you, Julie.
Well, thanks, Chris. Welcome, mate.
Great
Thanks
to be
for coming
here.
on.
As I touched on before, I was a little bit nervous being here in Bossy's company.
Oh, stop it.
He's a father figure. He's an icon, and
I don't know
it's
about that.
great to be here, and as it is with you.
Thank
too,
you,
Julie.
Chris. Thank you for getting me in there. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's very nice. Look, we've got to we have a little bit of a ritual here at Who's the Boss to welcome our guests. This is mine and Bossy's new little home. He likes to carry his goldware around with him. So we like to welcome our guests with a beverage
Yep.
out of a Melbourne cup.
It's just
Just
how
seems
we
right.
start, how we roll.
Yeah.
Right? You got to have a
He's a humble guy.
mouthful of champagne out of the Melbourne cups. It tastes real good. You would have drunk out of yours for sure, right? Plenty, right?
I bet others have.
Nothing tastes better than that.
Yeah, not on the day. Not on the day.
Not on the day.
No.
But how do you unwind at the end of a big race day? Because you sort of... Actually, I'll let you tell it.
Just go home with friends.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Nothing better. Job's done. Don't have to worry about anything for at least 24 hours or 12 hours. And if you're celebrating, it's great. And you know what? If you have a bad day, you're home with your family. And there's nothing better than after a bad day.
Welcome, Chrissy.
Cheers.
Welcome to Who's the Boss.
Cheers.
This is... I love Thursdays.
Never get tired of this stuff.
Mm.
Mm.
Oh.
It's awesome.
That's a good point you make, though, Chris. Like,
Do you feel better now, Chris? You're more relaxed?
Your job's done, right? You know, and I used to love that nothing more. Actually, it was my favourite time after a big day and you've won whatever you won. I used to love being home on my own sometimes, and like the event would have been run 5 hours before, but then you'll sit there and just have a little chuckle to yourself. You go, just won the Donny today,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. But it's more like a self-satisfaction moment that you've done a great job. You're not trying to beat yourself up and big head stuff, but you go, you know what, geez, I did a good job though, right? You know, do you have those moments?
I do, and because you'll have the night before, and you're thinking about things. You're running the races, you're running the event, running what can go wrong, how it should happen, and 9 times out of 10 probably doesn't work out that way. When it does work out that way, and you put your head on that pillow, there's no better feeling to say, well, that was a good day today.
Yeah,
and it's a special moment, and
for the team too, Chris. Like you know what I mean. This is one thing love about Chris. It's, you know, the spotlight's never really on Chris. He defers it to like the horse, the owners, but the team is very, very important. And everyone who works for Chris must have a sense of pride that they actually work for Chris Waller.
Yeah, I hope so. We had a foreman's meeting before we came in, and there was like 14, 15 people, and we were just making sure they're still engaged. We're in the middle of the carnival now, and just picking up the little things and saying to them, look, well done, we've started well, let's keep going, and we're a great team, and things like that. But yeah, you do feel satisfied for the strappers. Like the strapper of a Melbourne Cup winner, like that is a big deal in anyone's life, and it's a life-changing moment.
Well,
for
it's
that
their baby.
strapper
It's their baby.
Oh,
Like,
and
they're with that horse every day, right? So it becomes part of their family. Like, you know, they look at that horse like a child, and they care for it, love it, nurture it, you know, bandage its legs and make sure it's eating, temperature. So they become very intertwined with that animal. So when they take to the races, it wins a big race. The emotion that comes out of those people, I used to love watching the strappers sometimes because it is crazy the effect that it has on them. Because it's life changing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite amazing.
So cool.
My mum used to be a strapper for out at John Pallady Stables, and she talks about those moments because at the end of the day, the cameras all pan to the jockey or the trainer after a big win. But really, you're watching that relationship, that dynamic between the strapper and the horse. Once the presentation's over, even if you haven't won, they're with that horse
Yeah.
for the rest of that day. It
Yeah.
doesn't end when the cameras sort of pan in the other direction.
And like us, they have good days and bad days. They talk to those horses as if they're their best mate, and
Yeah.
they have some down days as well, like we all do. And horses. I know everyone says your dog's your best mate, but a horse is a strapper's
they
best
do.
mate.
They do more for you than dogs, I tell you. Chrissy, when you talk about the days, like I know you haven't ridden for the years and that, but I actually, where did it really all start for you? Like as far as like when did you say racing is what I want to do, horse training?
Would have been in, say, 17, 18. I used to work part-time in a stable.
Yep.
And go home and milk the cows for my dad in the afternoon. And I remember he'd go to the races as a hobby.
Yep.
I'd stay home and milk the cows. And I thought, I like this horse racing caper. Do I do this or milk the cows? And I said, I'll probably make more money milking cows and end up owning a farm. But I'll get more job satisfaction out of a horse.
Yeah.
I chose horses.
Had you ridden anything like that? Or
Used to ride track work, Bossy.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. Didn't know
Yeah,
that. There
I
you go.
thought I'd made it one day when I came to Australia as a strapper for my boss in New Zealand, who was Paddy Busserton. I came and rode work. We were in Sydney to start with. I rode work with Larry Cassidy. I thought that was the greatest day ever.
Yeah.
And I rode work with Mick Dittman in Brisbane when we took the horses up to Brisbane. I just couldn't get home back to New Zealand quick enough to say what I had done.
Wow.
And that to me was the pinnacle. I thought maybe one day I might train.
Yep.
And eventually it got to that way. But getting back to your stable hand life, like that was as good as it needed to be for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have an intricate sort of understanding, like when you say we're just talking about your staff, you actually have an intricate,
You've been there.
you've
experienced
been there, you've
it.
actually done that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I get a little bit emotional about that more than anything. Like our staff, and I like to be there with them. When the lights go on in the morning, I'm there.
Yep.
And most days towards the end of the day when they go off, I like to be there. I know I've got to support my family and give them more time as well. But I was there. I was working Christmas days. I was working Good Fridays. I was there Sundays. I was there after bad days, and I know how it is. It's a tough life.
Yeah,
and I can't pay my staff as much as they deserve to be paid, but I can pay them with my understanding and because I've been.
Well,
there.
you lead from the front. That's the thing. And this one, like through my career, I thought I'd never met someone that worked as hard or put in much effort or did as much for racing as Gay Waterhouse, right? And then I met this bloke, and that just went to another level. Like, the amount of the eye for detail, the hours that are put in, and it's a relentless job, right? And Chris is front and center, so he's always leading. Like when you got if you've got a footy team and you've got a coach that leads from the front, you want to play for that person because, you know what I mean. They're not there just fucking bullshitting around.
Yeah.
They're leaders, and you want to go and play for that person. That's the kind of situation with Chris and his staff. And even your owners, like you can see how much he's invested in it. So you actually want to play for that person.
When did you two first meet? When did you first cross paths?
That's a good story. I put this bloke on the map.
He's dropped that one a few times.
No. Well,
It's a true story.
I hadn't really met Chris. So I was riding. I went to Hong Kong after all the fanfare, and we hadn't really crossed paths before this.
I was pretty shy. Like I'd know who Bossy was, obviously, I'd have photos of these guys and Jimmy Cassidy and Darren Beedman on my wall as a teenager or a young teenager, and then I'd sort of see them in the flesh and. I'd almost, and I remember with Bart Cummings and Tommy Smith, and I've said it before, I'd sort of walk around them just because I'm sort of embarrassed to be in their company. And with Bossy getting him onto Triple Honour.
Well, that's what happened. Yeah, it was good.
Like it was pretty surreal.
He ran in the Hobartville Stakes, right?
Triple Honour.
Triple Honour ran in the Hobartville Stakes, and I was in Hong Kong, and I ran Chris, and I'm sure he must have thought I was taking the piss. And I said to Chris, that'll win the Doncaster. Can I come back and ride him? And I don't know if you thought I was taking the piss or not, because no one really paid much attention to his run in the Hobartville Stakes. What he done, Craig Newitt rode him, and he gave him a bit of a sore back. He had him pulling and ripping and tearing, and he went down fighting, got beat 2 lengths, and he should have got beaten 10 the way he raced, right? But the start before that, he went a ripping second to what was the horse of the year, Weekend Hustler in the Randwick Guineas. An unbelievable. If he didn't run in between, he would have been odds-on favourite for the Doncaster. If he didn't run in the Hobart Field Stakes, ran the Hobart Field Stakes, got it all wrong, and still only got beat 2. And I rang him up and said, mate, that'll win the Doncaster. He's got 51 kilos. Can I come back and please ride him? And that was my first introduction to Chris Waller. And the horse gave me a great ride, and we won your first major.
It changed my life. It changed my life in terms of confidence.
Yeah.
This man has all of the confidence. I had none, 0. And what Bossy used to do on a horse, in particular, Group 1 races, the top of the pops, he would get on, or you'd talk to you pre-race, we'd have instructions, and he'd say, nah, this is what we're going to do. And 9 times out of 10, he would make magic happen and do exactly what he said. I'm talking from impossible positions. I'm talking from wide barriers. I'm talking from normal back markers to be able to go forward and settle. Like, this man had a gift. And his gift was Group 1 racing at the highest level, not just any Group 1 race, the biggest Group 1s. And I managed to get Glenn aboard, and
that was a great day.
It changed my life in terms of confidence.
Yeah.
It gave me, prior to then, I was thinking, I used to think people cheated. I used to thought, why is he or she winning so many races? And it was the days where you would talk about things like that.
Yeah.
And,
so you thought you weren't on a level playing field?
Nah,
Okay,
I didn't.
yeah.
I didn't. I'm embarrassed to say it. But it's not until you win one of those majors or a Group 1 race, you say, well, I haven't done anything different. The horse and the rider, but the horse has to be good enough to win those races.
Yeah.
And that changed my life in terms of confidence to say, well, I can do it.
Yeah.
I don't have to change anything. No, people aren't cheating. It comes down to the horse.
Yeah.
And you've got to be good at it.
It's a good formula, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's one of our majors. We have 5 majors in Australia, and that's one of them, the Doncaster. So, I remember, and this what really fucked me up. I was in Hong Kong, right, riding, and a couple of weeks earlier, I come back and won the Slipper for Gay, and I was riding in Hong Kong, and then I come back and won the Doncaster for you, and I come off some big years, and I went back to Hong Kong, Chris, and I went, geez, I missed that. I missed that. Those little moments, that coming back to the crowd and you won a major.
They're not little moments.
No, I know they're huge.
They're rather big
I was
moments.
sitting in Hong Kong and riding winners, but I missed that.
Yeah.
And that's why I come home, because I thought, I can't get this in Hong Kong. I wasn't driven by the dollar. I was always driven by the moments. And I thought, well, I'm not getting these moments in Hong Kong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I come home.
Probably
I should have stayed. Would have made a fortune.
In your experience, Chris, with jockeys, and we'll get to the jockeys that you've obviously worked with over the years, but what's the difference between a good jockey and a great jockey in those big moments? Because Bossy was always known to come back if he had been overseas or if he just appeared in an Everest, say, and all of a sudden he rises to that occasion, and he's known for that.
Yeah, the difference is they can get something out of I'll say a horse, but it's like a Formula One racing car driver.
Situation.
You could have identical cars. Unfortunately, horses you don't. But if you put Bossy in a Formula One car, he would make something happen, and it would be the Ayrton Senna type moment. And so what a good jockey does, and you only know it when you use them firsthand or have that touch or experience with the horse to say, well, I know I've got this horse on its red line. It can't do any more. And then one of these superstars get aboard and they just take it that extra step and make it look easy. That is the difference between this guy and some very good jockeys, but Bossy's an elite, and he'll go down in the top 20 of history in terms of the world. Not just Australia, the world.
But I think it's, Chris, I think it's not just jockeys, it's any sport. If you watch, and that's where I used to study a lot of great sportsmen, like the top ones, in whether they're tennis, cricket, whatever that's, At football, they all have that ability when they get in that moment, everything slows, and they seem to have more time than everyone. The thing is, why they get to that point, because they've done all the work. Because they know when they get to that moment, it all becomes, they can rely on their body to take over, because this is not foreign to them. They've done this hundreds of hours, there's kicking balls, waiting for that one moment, right? And it's going to come. So when that moment does come, you just rely on yourself. You know you can do it, because I've done this 1,000 times. So everything slows down and you make it look easy. Like this is what we're talking about, the James McDonald's, and you know and you have the ability to not be scared. You back yourself. You're not scared to make a mistake, because you're backing yourself all the time.
Have you been scared along the way, Chris? Because you've had
petrified.
some big moments.
Yeah, I think, and so when you're dealing with elite horses, people, sporting teams, I think, there's so many similarities, and it's great this day and age to be able to listen to podcasts or interviews or shows like this, because you can actually get so close to people, successful people that we've never had access to in the past. Yeah, and you do see preparation going in. You do get to understand how other coaches. So I'm a coach. I coach horses. Yeah. So we do prepare. I think by preparing well, you then get this type of nervousness and butterflies and anxiety and apprehension. You get everything. You want
that though. You want those feelings, because it matters.
So to answer your question, like you put yourself in a spot, you put yourself under pressure. When it's in terms of life, it's probably not pressure, but we do it. We do it. And it does help you prepare properly. It helps you focus, and it helps the end result.
Can you, obviously we need to talk about WINX. We have to talk about WINX. It's been just such a remarkable chapter in your life, I imagine.
Yeah.
How did you deal with the outside noise? Do you deal with the outside noise?
We didn't have a choice. And Bossy would be the same going into a third Melbourne Cup with Mackay Diva. Like, no one's done it before. It doesn't happen. It can't happen. So something has to go wrong. But he got it right. Lee Friedman got it right. It just happened, but we didn't have a choice. You didn't say, well, no, I'm not going to the races today. I'll wait till next week. Yeah. Like, you had to do it.
Racing's bigger than that.
Yeah.
You know.
So you just have to do it. And look, in our case, it was probably made complicated by us. The horse was just a superstar. Yeah. So, she took us on a ride that took over our life, and both Huey and I suffered because of it. She broke us. But we're over it now, and we can see it now as a huge privilege.
Yeah.
And
I remember we spoke about it after I had a chat to Chris after it all, when she retired, and Chris said, "Oh, I'm glad it's over." I said, "But be glad it happened."
Yeah.
Be glad it happened, because this is a moment that's going to go down. They'll be writing stories about this we're dead and gone. They'll be still talking about her. So be just glad that it did happen to you, you know?
Yeah. So we see it as an honour now.
Yeah.
What do you mean it broke you?
Oh, just
relentless.
Yeah, it was just relentless. It was every day you wake up and you'd think about WINX, you'd think about her track work, you think about the track she's running on, you think about the weather, you'd think about how the races run, you think about her barrier manners, which weren't the best, you think about what other people think, you think about, like, she only needed to be beaten, and we were going to have a post-match conference to say that that's it, she's retired. We were prepared for that for 12 months. Yeah. So you're analysing everything, and look, it did teach us a bit about outside noise. Block it out.
But that was outside noise on a completely different level to anything we've seen, particularly here in Sydney. I mean, I was in the working media at the time, and it was extraordinary. It was extraordinary to see this taking place week after week after week, especially in the lead up to those
You could see everyone had an opinion.
Well, correct. She was the greatest athlete in Australia at the time. Like, you know, for three and a half years, she's the greatest athlete in Australia.
Yeah.
there was only one thing that people wanted to talk about. When you're talking about someone winning 4 Cox plates, this is just out of the stratosphere,
So she taught us that media is so important, and social media, just a game changer. Got to have it, but you don't need to read the responses.
Right.
And since that, I've never seen any negativity about me, or my life, or my horses, all the way I've trained. I've never seen it.
So were you
Don't
looking
read it.
into
Don't
it?
read it.
Was
Don't read it.
Was it naturally you were just finding yourself?
Oh, I think you do what people will say. I'll just say, no, don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
And I know when I've had a bad day. I know when I've had a bad week or a bad month. I don't need to be reminded.
You're your worst critic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't need anyone else telling you.
Nah.
You don't need it. No.
Nah. And and all you can do is your best, and just have a mindful thinking of what people are thinking and try and stay ahead of it.
Do you remember the feeling after that final race of hers and then that night? Can you talk us through from your perspective?
All I can remember is like leading up to it, oh, she'll win. You got nothing to worry about. And anyone that said it just feel like knocking them out. Like it was just so, it was such the furthest from our thoughts and our plan. We just had to just nail it. We owed it to that horse to get it right. And so yeah, the race worked out perfectly, which it very rarely does. And she basically just won by default. She had the perfect spot and come up the rise and won, and possibly wasn't the best field she raced against, and it was just utter relief, just absolute relief. And I don't remember much about afterwards. I remember Bruce McAvaney out on the track. We did a post-race interview. I went here, there, and that's very much...
Your feet don't touch the ground, do they?
Yeah, and that night you have drinks with some close friends. You bounce out of bed the next morning after a big day, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do.
And then a couple of days later you're flat. But
what's that adrenaline? It's that...
just a huge roller coaster.
It was such a big event. Like, I was riding in Singapore, and I come back, and everyone who wasn't riding the Queen Elizabeth that day, all the jockeys, we went and stood on the inside rail just to watch the crowd. I said, "Come on, boys, this will be a moment this is the moment you'll tell your grandkids. Come on, boys." We all went out. I'm getting goosebumps talking about now. Just because I said this is a special moment. You want to be part of it. So all the boys, we all come out there, and we stood on the Kenzo track on the inside, took in the crowd, the sign writing in the clouds, but just to watch her and hear that crowd. I'll never forget the noise. It was deafening coming down the straight, and then you come back, and it was just such a you don't see that. You just don't never see that moments.
I remember watching the race with my husband. We were at the track. And I just cried. And he said, "Why are you crying? She's won." And I said, "It's just like we're never going to see this again."
No.
And then I cried the next day because I partied all night with the Wallers, and I felt like horrific.
Driving the porcelain bus, were you?
I made the mistake of partying with the Wallers that night. But again, that's just one of those occasions where I think I was so privileged to be somehow with you and your mates on that. I remember you walking out with your phone, having just received correspondence from the Queen.
Oh yeah. She brought the world close. That's as simple as that. And there was some pretty touching moments through her career, and all walks of life. You've mentioned one right at the top end of town, but right down the bottom end of the town, there were people turn up at the races that just their life was WINX.
Yeah.
And you know what it's like. But yeah, and not just once, but they'd travel the length and width of Australia, and a lot of people that weren't so privileged as well. And it was pretty touching. And she reached out to everyone.
What about Huey?
Yeah.
How instrumental was he in
the
race?
Yeah, Huey.
He's such a beautiful person.
He's such a breath of fresh air. Just that country kid that he hasn't changed in his mannerisms.
His talent was there for everyone to see from a very young age.
Yeah.
And then when he got that charge and he got kicked out for a little while, it really adjusted his life. It was one of those moments that he probably needed. And he come back and he appreciated his job much more, and he becomes so much better at it. He was always talented, wasn't he, Chris? But his ability to just walk out there and sort of
Just
doesn't care in a way, you know.
Do you think any other jockey, present company excluded, could have dealt with the pressure, the occasion, everything that was required of that experience? Because he is such a cruisy operator, isn't he?
I don't think there is.
No.
But there would have been jockeys that would have got more out of it on certain days. But to cope with what he coped with week in, week out, and just the repetitive nature of and everything else going on behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
It was just a 1 in a million.
Sometimes these moments everything just matches up.
Yeah, of
doesn't it?
course.
The right horse, the right trainer.
It's
You
a
know, then
Jay
you get these
Ford
magical moments.
Jay Ford takeover target. Like, who could have
Yeah.
done a better job with him?
Yeah.
And other sports as well. Like, it's just one of those sporting moments. That's what we're in it for, isn't it?
That exactly why you're in it. You know, this when you first start out, Chris, and like these are the things you dream about, and now they've become reality. It's incredible, isn't it? The search keeps going, though, doesn't it? It never stops.
No.
The wheel never keeps turning. That's what keeps your feet on the ground. It does. You know what I mean? You know, next thing you're at another sales event. You're dealing with new owners that expect the same sort of, you know what I mean? So the wheel never stops turning. So you don't have time to really just.
I don't know what the next questions are, but when WINX retired, the people were saying, look, what's next? What's going to happen? Like, are they going to go flat, the WALLER team? And next thing, yes comes along.
Oh, yes, an old bossy.
And people were saying it, and I just mentioned I don't listen too much into what people think, but yeah, people were saying, WINX is retired, this horse is retired, and how are you going to rebuild? And I actually liked it.
Yeah.
I actually liked just
Breath of fresh
it was
air.
like you were starting fresh.
Yeah.
And it was actually quite it was good. There was no pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure was gone. And we had these young horses, no names,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're winning an Everest.
We've actually got the shot right there.
Oh, he was as special a colt that I'd ever ridden in my. And I only got to ride him twice in my life. And I remember I rode him. We put blinkers on him, right? And we took him to the Randwick.
Yeah.
On a race day, just to see how he would react in the enclosure before all those little things. Just Chris at his best. Take him there. It'll be like race day. We'll go out there and we did a bit of track work. We come up in about 36. It was nothing, and I got off. I said to Chris, "This will win the Everest." I was so confident. I said, "This will win the Everest." He's a special colt, this bugger, and you know, like when you talk about good. When I'm talking about special. When a horse breaks 10 for a furlong, that's only reserved for I'm talking the minute, the best of the very best can only break 10 under race conditions. They can do it track work, but under race conditions, he went in there and broke 10 and busted what was arguably one of the best fields we've ever seen assemble for a sprint race. Jesus, a shame we never seen it. He was still maturing.
Yeah.
He was still maturing.
He was a late call-up, wasn't he? He was a late addition to the race.
Yeah, he ran second or third in the Golden Rose and...
Yeah, he ran second to Bivouac.
Yeah.
Another great horse, you know.
How much has the Everest changed the landscape of racing, particularly here in Sydney?
As big as you could imagine or big as you could talk about.
Did it surprise you? Do you think this had legs to take off to the extent it has?
Not really, no. I'll tell you what it's done. It's a first-hand example. Our kids last year, they said, they just came out of their bedrooms one night and said, "Oh, Mum and Dad, can we go to the Everest in 2 weeks?" And we just thought, what?
Really?
What do you, like, because they don't actually go to the races very often.
No.
And I'm no use to them when I'm there, and it's hard for Steph to bring them out. So we sort of keep them away. But so when, like a year ago, Nikita was 10 and Tyler would have been 13. And yeah, they said, "Oh, we'd like to go to the Everest." And we said, "Oh, how do you know about the Everest?" Apart from basic things of what's brought this on type question, not how do you know about it. And they said, "Oh, it's just all over social media and everyone's
exciting.
Talking about it." And these are young kids.
See?
He's done
And
his
we
job.
asked a few more questions and they said, "Oh yeah, everybody's talking about it. Everyone wants to go."
Yeah.
And it's this younger generation. So it is the race that stops Sydney. Everybody from all outside of racing are talking about it.
Oh, it's bigger than that now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know, there's only 2 races, I reckon, on our calendar where you spend 12 months planning, a Melbourne Cup and an Everest. As soon as it's run and won,
It's true.
immediately you start thinking about, okay, like your horse wins. Okay, we can set it for next year. We've already got the slot. Or you run well. This horse has got a bit more in the tank. We can set him up for next year's Everest. So you know what I mean. And then you start backtracking. How do I get there? Yeah, it's one of the Melbourne Cup's the only race that does that, and an Everest.
And every horse that wins easily, the media ask, "Is this your possible Everest horse?"
Yes, yeah,
like the Melbourne Cup.
And we're asking those questions in the autumn. We're asking those questions at the end of the spring for heading into the next season.
And we're so invested in it because they're sprinters, right? They're not coming from overseas, so you kind of watching their preparations from start to finish. So everyone's quite invested. Everyone's got an opinion. On the day, any 6 can win, any 8 can win. You know, because they're all, they deserve to be there.
End of footy season. It was a masterstroke.
Timing's perfect.
Yeah, masterstroke.
What does Chris Waller do to relax? Do you relax?
Yeah, well,
you just had that holiday, didn't you, in America?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I tell you, when I relax when my work's done and my planning's done. So I need to plan. I'm not a sort of an instinct trainer. I do put a lot of thought in and follow what I set out in terms of training programs, and communication's a big thing. Once I've ticked all those boxes for the day, I can relax. Whether it's the day before a big race meeting, I do relax because we've done all we can, Bossy.
Well, you got Charlie there too, right? He's a good little backup.
We've got a great man in Charlie.
He's great, right? But he takes a bit of the pressure off you.
Yeah.
A little bit of the load.
Yep, and we've got to give him support as well because he'll take on too much as well. So it's just relaxing it's our life. This is our life. I'd say most sporting people are the same. It's your life. It takes over, and there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things that go on. So relaxing is knowing that you've prepared well, and then once it's out of your control, what will be, will be.
Other sporting codes are seasonal.
Yeah.
Racing is now all year round.
Probably put that on ourselves too.
Yeah, we
have.
Yeah.
So...
And the carnivals have got longer.
Haven't they?
And they're more intense, so they kind of just roll into each other. The winter rolls into the spring pretty quickly. And not long after, then we've got the Magic Millions, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're into the autumn.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And you think about not just training, there's 4 big sales a year. You're in New Zealand, you got Easter, you got Magic Millions, there's 3 millions, and there's probably another one, Inglis. So, you know what I mean? It's kind of never going to stop. So you're either on the treadmill or you're not. You know what I mean? And that's you either buy into it or you don't.
You do. I went to America, as you touched on, for a holiday this year, and I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
You said that's the first time you really loved it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was in New York for a week and thought it was pretty cool. Pretty cool, yeah.
What were you doing in New York?
It was just
made you feel pretty cool.
It just everything was happening.
It's a great city.
Yeah, it was a lot of vibe, and you get up in the morning and the streets are full and people are on a mission and went to
probably that fast thing suits you, right?
And being there for a week and just how they spoke and just in the heritage and everybody had a job and a purpose and you talk to people and they just love life.
Is it good, Chris, to get away and you know that you kind of switched off a bit? I know it was only a short time, but when you come back, it's still there. Like, you know what I mean? You've got a very good team around you, obviously. So now that you know that you've done it, you can do it. Walk away for a week or two and come back. It's still there. The wheels are still turning. Does that give you a lot of confidence that you can go away and have these breaks?
It does, and it brought me back enthused. I was on a mission when I got back. Yeah. Then I did a week in LA and spent a day with Bob Baffert, and he had me charged right up.
Wow. What a man to be around.
Yeah, it was good. So
what was he like?
He's just like one of us. Just like one of us. Stories, and he's so normal, natural, and just a genius horseman.
Yeah. Did you take anything out of it like that you could use in yours?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah?
I did. He works his horses harder than us.
Yeah.
And I'm probably a pretty soft trainer.
You don't change what you do.
But I do it. More regularly. So what I'm saying is he works his horses harder, but less often.
Okay.
So good, solid gallop, Bossy. Good, solid work. But that's it for
their
9
style
days.
Of racing too, though, right?
It is. It is. And
horses...
he said, "Don't try it, Chris," because he said your horses are grass horses, and he said, I train grass horses as well, but I'm no good at it. So he said, don't train and change anything. But I actually have. I've taken a bit out of it.
Okay.
Not to that extreme, but I've seen a difference. I've seen them just toughen up a little bit, and we've had a good start to the season.
Yep.
And there's a few of those things that I've brought into our training techniques, and you're just seeing a slightly tougher. See, my horses are 5 and 2 type work.
Yeah, but it's beautiful though.
Yeah,
because you always got something in the tank.
Yeah, we do, but yet they're vulnerable first up, and second up they improve, and then by the time they get to the peaks, they're ready to go. But yeah, it was stimulating. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Has there been someone in your career that's been an influence or a mentor that you've turned to over the years?
I'm a bit of a junkie with successful people.
Yeah.
And as I touched on before, we've got so much access these days to successful people, whether
it be business or anything.
100%. So when you're a trainer or a jockey, you get to ride or train for some of the most successful people in the land.
Mm.
So racing a horse it's a luxury item. So to get a luxury item, you've been pretty successful in what you do. So you can ask so many questions and get driven by so many people, as well as sporting people. People gravitate towards racing, whether it's a rugby league star or a AFL or a cricketer, you name it. They seem to gravitate towards something that still stimulates them.
Gives them a thrill.
So these sporting people retire when they're 35, 40, but at horse racing, it still gives you that adrenaline, that hit of success. So getting back to your question of mentors, I just love asking questions of successful people. I don't want to embarrass people, but
generally, when you ask the question, they're always willing.
Yeah.
Generally, you very, very rarely get someone who's very successful that guards it.
Yeah.
They go, yeah, okay, well, let's sit down and we'll have a chat about it. You know what I mean? It's. I was the same, Chris. Like, I asked so many questions when I was coming through, but it's the only way you learn, right?
Yeah. And you'll take so much out of certain people, like even the early days, like I used to get kick out of like Bossy and Darren Beedman, and you just sort of get driven by it, and then in terms of asking questions, other horse trainers. So I've managed to meet a lot of the most successful trainers around the world, and I guess WINX did open up a few windows because people were sending messages or wanting to talk and ask questions to me. So I'd get on the bounce and get them straight back at them. And from as I touched on, Bob Baffert to Aidan O'Brien's, John Gosden's, and you name it, trainers from all parts of the world. And then it's sort of filtered into other coaches as well that like racing, from your Alex Ferguson's and Steve Hanson's, and everyone loves a racehorse.
Talking about other parts of the world, excuse me. Talking about other parts of the world, Chris. Did you ever get the call up from Hong Kong? This question I've never asked you. Like, did you ever?
I've been spoken to. A couple of times, and it just I'm in awe of Hong Kong racing, and I would never say I wouldn't, but it just doesn't suit me.
Not now, no.
Yeah, like we've the horses that we have, you've constantly got that good horse in your stable.
Yeah.
It's very hard to, as you touched on, it's hard to replicate what we have in Australia.
I think you've just got too big now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're too big and too successful. You know what I mean?
I've had some good job offers through my time, and it's basically come back to saying, no, I want to support the people that have supported me and keep the team going.
Yeah.
There's so many people in our system, from bloodstock agents to 4 people that have been with us forever.
Well, you supported a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how many employees do you have?
We'd have 120 across Australia.
That's big numbers, right? It's a big it's a company. It's a big company.
And even our owners, which are our investors, I'd never walk out on them.
No.
Yeah. And Australia's just got the best of all
100%. Well, you know what? You can take a horse over there if you want.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Take them over
Yeah.
there. Yeah. You travel them.
Well, we are in the thick of the spring, and you do have quite a few good horses in the stables at the moment. We've just heard that Jolly Star will run in the Everest, which is exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Who are you enjoying, working with and also watching throughout this spring?
How do you pick?
Yeah, there's no standout or pin-up horse, because there's 5 or 6 that could be.
Yep.
Without notice, Autumn Glow looks a star.
So exciting.
I just had a look at her an hour before coming on the show, and so she won last Saturday. We sent her to the farm for 3 or 4 days.
Yep.
And wow, she came back looking better than when she won.
That's
and
what you-
she's first prep horse. She's got it all in front of her.
And she's got it all too, eh?
Yeah.
The way she parades, she just looks like she's been here
Yeah.
and done it, like she's done it before.
You
know?
said she's a lot like her dad.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
good looking individual. She's got amazing athleticism.
Yep.
And she's got pedigree. She can run fast, and she's got the will to win. There's no more ingredients. she
Yeah,
really
that's all you
needs.
need.
Yeah, and just
Via
watching her
Sistina, I
parade.
reckon.
Yeah, she's
I
a
love this
star.
horse. I love her.
She's a star. We've got a really good horse with international form line
Yep.
behind her. Brilliant first up, second up, touch flat, and she'll bounce off that. Fangirl's she's well named. She's just the pin-up Sydney girl at the
Yeah,
moment.
You know what you get with her, eh?
Yeah,
Just everything's on the table with her.
loves a rattling hard track.
Yep.
We don't get a lot throughout the calendar year, especially in Sydney. We'll get a few wet tracks, but the firmer the track, the better she goes. And so, yeah, King Charles,
Yeah.
that's her race.
That's
That's
her
her
race.
Cox Plate. She won't go to the Cox Plate this year.
No
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah, that's her big dance.
Well, speaking of King Charles, have you been in touch with him? Are we going to see him at trackside for the big one?
I haven't personally spoken to him about it.
Haven't you?
No, but
He's in town, I hear.
Yeah.
I know how much the royal family love their
Yeah.
racing, sport, Commonwealth, people. That fits his visit and the Queen's.
It does.
She loves it.
Yeah.
She, the Queen, loves it perhaps more so than the King, if I'm correct, in terms of racing.
Hard for me to say, but
Well, you're closer
Her
than we are.
Majesty, she, I'm tipping they'll be there on Everest
Yeah, I
Day.
hope so.
Might only be for an hour, but I'm tipping
I'm
they'll.
tipping if anyone can make it happen, it's Mr. Volantes. If
Yeah.
anyone
But
can
no, it'd be-
sway a
wouldn't it
royal
be great?
schedule.
Wouldn't it be great? And don't worry, they'd love to be there.
Yeah.
You know, if it can happen, he'll make it happen.
I think it'd be timely. We've seen Sydney spearhead the way racing's going, and the rest of the world's following. There's been some landmark cases that have changed racing, with getting a fairer tax system, and Volantes and his team were behind that. And further to that, the prize money, the big races on offer, and how the racing industry's evolved because of it.
Yeah,
It would be fitting to get
it'd be awesome.
the King here for
His
Royal
race.
Randwick.
I'm
He's
such
right.
a
King
fangirl.
Charles.
Man, I'd be pathetic if I saw the Royals. I don't know what I'd do, actually. It's like when I'm around you, Bossy. Do I bow?
Well,
Do
stop
I
it.
curtsy?
No, I got to meet him one day at Flemington, and he's like us.
Yeah.
They are
You know, when
people.
you have a perception of someone, and you finally get to meet him, and you
Yeah.
go, he was just so normal.
Yeah.
He actually, when he stops and engages to have a chat, he's not like,
No.
you know, he actually
Yeah.
he's there
Yeah.
until he's finished the conversation. It's not like he's on the watch. I've got to move on. It didn't feel like you were rushed, and he wanted to stay there because he was engaged in the conversation. I really loved it.
Yeah, very special, man.
Well, I would like to ask a few quick fire questions to get to know Mr. Waller.
Oh
Do you reckon? Look, we didn't think we'd play the other game that we normally play because
no,
we spared you that one. Rock band, racehorse, or rude film. We spared you that one.
we spared you that one,
We
mate.
spared you that one.
Good.
You might have liked it.
No, you've got.
Björn did. Björn Baker
Yeah,
really
of course.
enjoyed it.
He's a different cat, though. He's a different cat.
So I thought I'd ask you some quick fire questions, getting
Right.
to know Chris Waller. Here we go. Dream job outside of racing.
Oh, I'd be a pilot.
Pilot.
What,
Yeah.
a fighter pilot? Like in
Nah.
F1s?
Nah.
I don't think he's a fighter pilot,
Nah,
guy.
just-
No, wouldn't you like to get in one of those things?
Oh,
Wouldn't that be
I
a
feel
thrill?
sick.
no, I drive the plane slow.
Slow. Are you a bit of a slow driver? Are you?
No, I'm not
Slow and
actually.
steady?
I've got all my points, but only just.
Well, that's good. Let's not bring up points. My husband's
Good
in
answer,
the room.
though.
Favorite food?
Oh, favorite food. I just like food.
Food.
Yeah,
As long as it's good.
yeah,
Well, you work it off because you go for a
He's a
little
good
run
runner.
around the track, don't
Yeah.
you?
yeah. I just like good food. I don't like mushrooms. Don't like mushrooms at all.
No. Hallucinogenics, no good for you, those things.
So glad I asked. What is the next question going to be? Guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. Oh.
Good sleep in, would that be good?
Oh.
I don't think you could sleep in now.
Probably not.
Yeah. My guilty pleasure, I watch Netflix coming to work in the morning.
Nothing wrong with that.
Driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
What?
all right. Yeah.
Wow.
No, you just...
Oh, because
do
you're in a
these
fancy
ones.
car.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
new ones. What's your favourite
What's
show
your
on
favourite
Netflix?
show?
Oh, I loved Yellowstone when it was
Oh,
on.
how good was that?
But dirty, they haven't done the final
Yeah,
series
what about
yet.
that?
Yeah.
Just pulled out.
I think Kevin asked for too much money.
Still, but it was... how much money do you want, Kevin? Just do it.
Yeah. Come on, Kevin.
Oh,
God.
Kevin hasn't lost it. Hot tip.
No, I just I like it. I like sports documentaries, to tell you the truth.
Netflix do some good sports
Yeah, they do.
docos
I
too.
love
They're
that
the
Tom
leaders.
Brady.
Yep.
He's a
He's a
legend.
freak.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
proper...
For how long he did it, and
What a specimen, though.
yeah,
Like
same
he's-
as Beckham. He did it. What he went through.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten what he'd gone through until I watched that documentary. I'd completely forgotten the hype around that whole
He would be
chapter.
one bloke I'd love to sit down and just
And
spend
he's
a,
fat.
spend a couple of days with. Just...
He
'cause-
sent a soccer ball to WINX.
Did he?
Yeah, 2 WINX. Love your work,
Oh, my God.
David, 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
How cool.
Stop. Did you ever meet David Beckham?
I met him at in Milan once. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, he was playing for AC Milan for a little while.
That's right.
Yeah.
What an icon, though. Like,
What
but
a
he's just a
legend.
proper dude by the look of him. You know, like,
Yeah.
I think he
he
likes
come
to
from
cook.
nothing, worked his ass off. Like, you
Just
know.
talented. Just an
just a-
unbelievably talented
yeah.
guy. Most famous person in your phone?
Huh.
Here we go.
I've got a good phone.
Yeah,
I've got a
yeah,
good phone.
yeah.
We
yeah.
probably
Yeah.
should just leave it at
Yeah,
that.
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, leave it at that.
Okay. What else? The track that you had the most fun at outside of working at the races,
Oh. Outside of working at the races.
as in you didn't have a runner that day and you could actually just
Oh.
enjoy yourself.
Probably Kentucky Derby.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's on my bucket list. Haven't been.
We had some funny stories.
Can we
at
talk about
Kentucky
your
Derby.
funnest day, though?
Finest day?
No, your finest day when your mare won that cup.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I thought it was a shoe-in.
Yeah.
I thought she was an absolute shoe-in.
Mm.
Yeah, I reckon you told me that.
I did, I told you. But, I mean, she was well found, but very elegant.
Yeah.
Coming off, should have won the Cox Plate.
Mm.
The year before, her run in the Melbourne Cup, people don't realise how big it was
Mm.
the year before. So she was kind of blooded. And I remember just before about to get legged up, and I said to James, you're just about to find out what it's like to win a Melbourne Cup. And he went, bullshit. I said, mate, you're just about to find out what it's like. He said, you think so? And she was like 15 to 1.
Yeah.
I said, mate, she's the only weight for age horse in the race. This is a weight for age race. She's the only weight for age horse in this race. It'll win. And she just blew them away, didn't she?
Yeah.
Like, Incentivise was completely well found. He was only 2 kilos off her.
Yeah.
Way too close. She's a champion mare. He was nowhere near a champion. But he was weighted off winning a Mackay Diva Stakes.
Yeah.
56 kilos. She had 58. Is that right? 57 and a half?
Can't remember.
Didn't matter. Didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
Well, he had 55 and a half. She had 57 and a half. Like,
Mm.
she was the only horse that was going to win that race. What a horse. Like,
Yeah.
champion.
So I watched the race on my couch at home.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it was COVID.
It was COVID.
That's
That's
right.
right.
They released the travel restrictions, I reckon, that morning.
Yeah.
But you had to get on a private plane or something like that. And I just said, nah,
Yours didn't have enough fuel in it?
yeah. Yeah. The pilot was on leave or something.
that morning.
At gastro.
Yeah.
So I just watched it at home with Steph and the kids, and it was just the most surreal moment.
Amazing, right?
So surreal. And because she hit the front at the 300 meter mark, like you just did these ones.
Yeah.
Like, is this really happening? And like the last 300 meters, she's just going to win the race. Like it's normally, we're going to win it. But she was just always going to win
But
it.
she deserved to win that.
Yeah.
She honestly deserved to win the Melbourne Cup because she's a champion. Like, it's
Yeah.
not a word that you should throw around
Mm.
loosely, but she was a champion. And the way that you and James moulded her career, like she was a bit of a
Yeah, she
You
was a
know,
bit
like
of a
she
funny one.
wasn't easy, but for her to get to that point, she should have won the Cox Plate to start forward. Damien she should have won the Cox Plate to start forward. Damien Lane Rotor, he got it wrong. He rode her too conservatively, didn't he? And he just gave her too much to do, and she rattled home. Perfect run for a Melbourne Cup.
Might have been Mark Zara.
Was it Mark Zara?
I don't know. He won the Caulfield Cup on her. Can't remember.
I'm not sure. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Hey, and then 10 seconds later, the phone started ringing.
Oh,
Didn't stop ringing for like a week.
yeah.
It just rang and it rang and it rang and it rang. And like it woke me up to how big the Melbourne Cup was. Like you always see the media frenzy around a lucky jockey, a lucky trainer, a lucky owner, a lucky strapper every year, but it was never me or my team. But when she won, every single media outlet wanted a piece of it.
Yeah.
Not sporting, not racing, everything from around the world. All the different radio stations you never even heard of.
No.
All the TV station media outlets. It's just unbelievable.
It's insane.
It it really announced.
You got to
me
go
as
and win
a-
one when there's a crowd there now. That's what
Yeah.
you got to do. Go and experience that. You like to do it now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should just pop that on
Yeah,
the
it's
list.
a good idea.
Yeah, that's
I think it's a great idea, Chris.
Yeah, you'll be
Don't
there.
stop with 2.
No.
Keep going.
Mm.
Chris Waller, unfortunately, apparently time's up. We've been talking well beyond.
Well, this has been a pleasure. Thanks, Chris. I really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it, mate. It's
Thank
Awesome,
you.
awesome show. And
Nothing to be
it's
nervous
a
about.
privilege to be here. No,
No.
you've been fantastic.
Well, I have so much respect for this guy. Like, you know.
Well, what is it to
incredible.
hear when you hear someone like Chris
Oh, I'm embarrassed about that.
to say such nice things
No,
about you?
that's embarrassing because I'm nowhere near that. But
No, it's a true story.
I just I have so much respect for his guy, not only just for what he's done, but just the way he does it.
Right.
That's the thing I love.
cut.
Oh, come on, stop it.
No, we've got to get.
See,
Marsh
we
to-
both don't like compliments.
I'm sorry, I'm just waiting for mine.
We've got to
that's
finish
all.
these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
we have to
cheers,
end the
mate.
rest of the
Well,
bottle.
Thanks for coming.
Chris Waller,
Thank you,
what a
Chrissy.
privilege. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers,
You're a star.
Bossy.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
I just adore him. I just adore him. I think he's just such a wonderful person.
And you know what the funny part about it was, Snooky? When he walked in, he said, I'm being nervous.
He was nervous.
He said,
wasn't he?
he said last night I was very nervous about coming on. I was going, come on, Chris, you don't have to take the piss, eh? And he said, no, I'm actually a bit nervous about this. So it was nice that he sat here and you could see him get very comfortable.
Yeah.
Obviously, because we have such a good history together. And it's just nice for him to share some of his views and his stories and see a different side to Chris.
Yeah.
He's just a wonderful human being, isn't he?
He's a very polished professional, and it's just been incredible. You've obviously worked much more closely, but even from a media perspective, to sit and watch him and work alongside him through particularly the WINX era, and to see how he managed that and managed the media and all the stresses that came with it, to get that little bit of insight was really
Yeah,
a
and I think to be very honest, Snooky, we might be seeing something. Like we're in the middle of something that's extraordinary.
yeah.
Like the Chris Waller story it's only just started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a young man. He's got it all in front of him. It just feels like we're actually watching something unfold that is extraordinary. Like he's breaking records every year. And continues to do that. And it's not like the records drive him. It's like this want to be better all the time. You know what I mean? He's just, I don't know, when you sit and talk to him, he's a deep thinker and he wants to be better. He's always striving. He's never sitting still. That's the type of person he is because he wants to be better.
From your perspective, is this a pretty remarkable era of racing at the moment?
I think it is, yeah. Everyone talks about the old days and whatever. No, this is...
Because you look at the likes of Chris and his Sydney premierships, you look at the likes of James McDonald and his jockey premierships, but also the Sydney Jockeys Room and the success of even trainers like Kieran Maher coming through. And
but that's the evolution of doesn't matter if you're in business, whatever, evolution, every sort of 10 years, it evolves, right? It gets faster, it gets better, it gets more streamlined, people think differently. So it doesn't matter whether you're a electrician or you're in the stock exchange or in sport, football, cricket, or whatever it is, things are evolving all the time. So you see these young kids coming through. I'm not talking about Chris there, but I'm talking about their ability to have their hands on information, or a lot of information. It brings them on board very quickly.
Yeah.
So you're getting these 15-year-olds that are going there playing football, cricket, and you're going, oh, but they've been doing this since they're 5.
Yeah.
You look at golf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're finely tuned, not athletes,
And
but
the
they're finely,
technology and everything that's available.
they've already got the know-how, but they just get better and as they grow and mature, they get better and better. So that's just in everything. You know, it doesn't matter like what you do, but evolution of just human nature is getting better and faster.
It does just feel like we're in the midst of something pretty special that's happening here in the racing world. Something that's also special. International Premier Events.
Oh, of course.
They know how to throw a special event.
Well, I've been involved. It's pretty cool.
And you are special. You add the special to the event.
Well, I don't know about that. No, it's pretty cool. It's pretty smick. It's you get there and you're treated to pretty good. You know, it's a very clean run.
Well run.
Well-run. You walk away that you've known that you've had a really good experience. So that's what IPE does.
International Premier Events will be in full force this weekend for the Everest. That is going to be some show. Of course, the Melbourne Cup is coming up.
Yep.
It's been a busy time, their busiest time of the year. So if you want to jump on, get involved in all the action, you can visit ipevents.com.au. You can get one of these cool hats, which really
this is
suits
mine.
you.
You can't get this hat.
You can't have that one.
No,
well, we could probably raise
we'll get
something.
you one. Don't worry.
He might even sign
You got to come to the event though, otherwise you don't get a hat.
And then you
Simple.
even get bossy. And then the hat is the least of your worries. So make sure you check out International Premier Events because they are incredible when it comes to hospitality. You're incredible when it comes to talking racing. So I reckon we should get into Bossy's Best.
Bossy's Best.
Huge weekend of racing. Massive weekend of racing. Let's start in Victoria. Caulfield Cup Day.
Yeah. Doesn't get any better than this weekend, I reckon. I mean, yeah, it does. We got some big stuff
This
coming,
is a lot.
but this is a beauty, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you make of this Caulfield Cup field?
Very open. I think the market has settled on the right horses, to be very honest.
Yeah.
Buckaroo, I think's flying. Took a very good Via Sistina to beat him last start.
Mm-hmm.
His start before that, 1 by 4 at Caulfield, so you know he's getting around there pretty well. He's got Joe Moreira in the saddle.
Yep. Joe's come out for the occasion.
Well, he's been here for a month or so, riding for Chris. He's flying. He's drawn well. It's his race to lose, to be honest. He's got 54.5 in a very compressed weight scale this year. I think the top weight's only got 55. I don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah.
So he looks on current form, and he looks like the horse to beat.
So you're with a Buckaroo for
I'm
this
with
year's
Buckaroo.
Caulfield Cup. I'm going to take us straight to Randwick now because, look, this Everest Day has it's a sellout.
Yeah.
They announced it was a sellout on Tuesday night at the barrier draw,
Yep.
so they've had to stop ticket sales because there's going to be close to 50,000 people at Royal Randwick.
Yeah. So it
which
should
is
be right.
Extraordinary. But it's not only the Everest, it's got these epic other races. We've got the Kosciuszko, we've got the
Yep.
Silver Eagle, the Sydney Stakes, which is also a brilliant sprint field. We've got the King Charles III, and then we've got the now Group 1 Everest.
Yeah.
It's just epic races everywhere.
Yeah, from top to bottom, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just mouthwatering. I just can't wait to get there. I've, as a race fan now,
Yeah.
I've been to the last couple of Everests, and always walked away with a smile on my face. It's been just such a great
It's a
event.
different crowd. It's a different crowd. It's a different atmosphere.
Different vibe.
Vibe, as the kids are saying. Well done, you.
Yeah,
You're much cooler than me. Let's look at the King Charles,
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah.
Over the 1,600 metres. This is
Epic.
one of the great fields of the day. Pride of Jenny goes in favourite at this stage. You've got the likes of Amelia's Jewel, Fangirl, Cherwolf, Celestial Legend. Like, it's such a gun field.
Pericles coming back to his proper distance. I think he's a better miler.
Yep.
Pericles. So, listen, I think the most interesting horse in the race is Major Bill. Can't win, but he'll be the one that's hopefully taken the rest of the field up to Pride of Jenny, because someone has to be the one that goes in there and puts a head on the chopping block.
Yeah.
And most of them won't be able to do it because they're horses that need, someone else to take it up. So I think Major Bill's the real interesting horse in the race, because a horse like Fangirl with Jane Mack, he wants someone to do the work for him because she simply can't do the work.
Yeah.
She's She's very sort of one-dimensional. She needs speed on, but she needs someone to take her up. She needs to be ridden cold because she can come home in sub-33s.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got this fine dance you've got to make because Pride of Jenny's out there doing her own thing. So it's a real little dance that you've got to do to try and be close enough to her, but not take your horse out of its comfort zone so you don't dull your finish. It's an intriguing race.
And knowing what she's capable of as well.
Well, you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Pride of Jenny's going to... And it's where Pride of Jenny wins her races? It's the second quarter after the barriers break. That's where she wins the races. So she jumps pretty well on terms. Her first 200 metres, she's not the fastest horse, but she can see she goes with them. But then the second quarter, she puts 4 lengths on them. Then the next quarter after that, she puts another 4 on them. And then that's where the race is won and lost because all of a sudden you have to try and make up that ground.
So do you think anything can get past her?
The
market's interesting because, you've got Major Beals out at 101, Lions Raw 150. Chairwolf sitting at 8. I've always been a big fan of Chairwolf. Joe Pride's got so much respect.
Yeah, but he's in the same situation as Fangirl.
For this horse,
he's going to get back and
Celestial Legend. We
haven't. Well, the Epsom form. I questioned the Epsom form, and then Kovalik has come out and got beat after getting every chance the other day. So I'm a little bit on the fence about that Epsom form just yet. I want to just see it coming out, but Fangirl's. She's second favourite. She deserves to be second favourite behind the great mare. But this is going to be one of the great watches of the day. And to think it's going to come on the back of, your heart rate won't even get down from watching the Everest. And then you've got to turn around and watch the King Charles.
Let's have a sneaky peek at the Sydney Stakes too. Because for those that didn't get an Everest call-up, we're talking the likes of Overpass. Think about it, who won last year's Everest.
Yes.
Southport Tycoon, who also was in the Everest contention. Plus, you've got the old likes of Marzu,
Airman, who come out and beat everyone the other day. So
Coal Crusher.
Yeah. This will be one of the better betting races of the day. I reckon.
It's a great field. $2 million race.
Yeah.
It's not a bad backup plan to an Everest.
And, think about it. They come in and openly said they got it completely wrong the other day, Joe Pride, which they did. I thought his run had pretty merit. Overpass is, what you see is what you get with him. He just goes out there and really runs a great race every time. So... And it'll be interesting to see what Airman can do because he just threw a cat amongst pigeons the other day. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
So whether he can back that up again and do it again.
We've got Zach Lloyd on board this time.
Well, he rode it last time.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he rode a brilliant race up on the fence last time. Yeah, he did. So
I'm with Southport Tycoon.
Yeah, I'd like to think about it. I'd like to see him come back into it because he's such a great sprinter.
It is such a shame we didn't get him in the Everest.
Yeah,
I can see why, and I know Max Whitby came out this week and said, that's who I was looking at when my guy didn't get in. But then I saw that run and went, ooh, and he's gone with Private Eye now. But it's remarkable.
He's drawn 16 too.
It's remarkable to think we don't have last year's
winner
in this year's field.
I know.
He's
got a big job ahead of him tomorrow though. 16 barrier. What do they do there? Probably just sit back. I'd say midfield, 3 wide would cover, and if he's good enough, he wins.
The track as it stands right now is a soft 5 heading into Saturday at the time of this record. We have had a bit of rain around Sydney, a bit of rain forecast on the Friday as well. The $20 million Everest is now a Group 1 race, and I think it's just got one of the best fields we've seen in its short history.
We've been talking about this race
for 52 weeks.
Basically 52 weeks, but especially over the last 3 months, it's been intriguing. Honestly, we were talking 4 weeks ago, we were nowhere near a field.
No, not at all.
This was unbelievable.
We only got a full field on Monday.
Yeah. So, it was intriguing. I mean, we spoke about this. There's so many stories within the story, and with that story, there's another story. It's one of those races. It's become a real big talking point. I'm still with I Wish I Win.
You are? Yeah.
I am. I've always been at Steffi Magneto. I thought she's going to run a blinder tomorrow. I thought her trial was good when we spoke to Bjorn and trialled her. But I think I Wish I Win's had the most perfect preparation. He's almost had 2 great barrier trials.
Yeah.
At Moonee Valley, because it's a track that's not going to suit him, but it's the right track for him. I think Peter Moody, and I sent Trumby a nice message the other day. I think it's almost feels like there's a bit of sense of, this is your moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he did say, he said, this might be my raise the beer moment, you know.
Yeah.
So I hope, because he got beaten last year. Barry 1 beat him. So he's coming back. I think he can win.
It does feel like the forgotten one here in Sydney, only because we've been talking about so many others in Sydney.
Yeah.
And he's just been quietly going about his business. He's been lined up for this race all year. He had this lot early.
Yep.
It was always the goal and the grand final. And I just wonder if people here have perhaps forgotten what he's capable of, what he's been doing. He's just been sort of out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. But he's been favourite for a long time.
Yeah.
He's been favourite. He's been solid favourite.
Well,
but,
Jolie Star is now coming in as favourite as well.
Yeah.
What do you think James McDonald rides?
Well, he jumped off, didn't he? Giga kick. You know, he just probably thought he didn't have that. You know, he's come off a long injury, 12 months. He's had 2 runs back. He probably thought he didn't have that killer punch the other day. And to be very honest, visually, Giga Kick was there to win the other day, and he didn't. But he doesn't have to make up much. He only has to find another length. You know, so he's a bit ring rusty. He's coming back into it. Whether he can do it on the big day, I'm not sure. But Jolie Star was very interesting. Amazing first up. Second up, we spoke about Chris's horses second up.
Chris
I
Waller.
keep saying it.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. It's a real stat too. Don't worry.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've actually noticed more people talking about it since you mentioned it. It's been...
But it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's just the way he trains.
Yeah.
No, there's no hiding away from that. Her trial the other day was unbelievable. I'm pretty sure J-Maker's rubbing his hands together. But look, honestly, where do you look?
I know.
Where do you look?
You've got Private Eye. You've got Bella Nipotina. Kira Ma's got 3 horses in this field. I Am Me's drawn barrier 1. I tell you what, that table was stoked on Tuesday night at that
she
barrier
needed
draw.
Barrier 1.
They were very, very happy. Sunshine in Paris.
She's drawn out in the...
Traffic Water, Growing Empire, Storm Boy. You could literally throw a dart at the board with this one and it can go in any which direction. Tommy Berry, he's confident. He's got a top 3 runner with Sunshine in Paris.
Yep.
Lady of Camelot is sitting out at $41, just $50 earlier in the week. It's just a remarkable field.
You could have 6, 7, 8 goes of this and still miss the winner. But if you miss the winner, you go, oh, yeah, should have won.
Do you think
one of them races.
There's a dark horse at all? Do you think there is one that is perhaps just been overlooked a little bit here?
No, not really. I honestly don't. I think...
It's a good field.
Listen, I think Irish Wins had a great prep. Giga Kicks had the right prep for a horse that's coming back off a long injury. He should be ready to fire third up.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're pretty confident. Bella Nipotina is absolutely airborne at the moment. No luck the other day. IME's flying. Steffi Magnatica, like she's beat Bella Nipotina. She's put her hand up to say she's a genuine horse. I tell you what, won't that be a party? Bjorn Baker, he'll go crazy. Mate, the wing stand might lose its roof if Bjorn Baker wins.
That would give it the barrier.
You know, and then you got these 3-year-olds. You know, Traffic Warden is a deserved, got his place there. So, wow, it's going to be. Well, it's going to be an interesting.
It's going to be
1 point. They're going to run it in about 1:10. It's going to be a minute and 10 seconds of thrill.
So you're with Wishy?
Yeah, I'm with him. Yep, I'm really on his side. I think he's just had the perfect prep.
Okay, well, time will tell
Mm-hmm.
who takes out this year's $20 million Everest. Will you just look at the trophy and remember the good time on Yes, Yes, Yes and think, oh, that was a good day?
Yeah, it was a good day for me winning the Everest because it's one of those races. There's only 2 races I believe on our calendar that have this aura about them where when it's won and run and won, that you start thinking about the next year.
The next year.
Like and it's a process that you think about for the whole year.
Yep.
How do I get my horse through the autumn to get into this race for the spring? It's amazing, right? There's only one other race that does that, and it's the Melbourne Cup.
Did you have to ride another race after winning the Everest?
Yeah, you wouldn't believe that the year I won, I had a horse flip over me in race 2, and I had a grade 3 tear of my medial and cruciate ligament.
Ooh. I
never told anyone because I'm riding an Everest and I think this horse can win. So I rode all day. I put my lengths down about 8 holes on one side because I couldn't get my leg in the position.
Yeah.
So I rode all day in excruciating pain because I had a grade 3 tear on both sides. I don't know how I didn't break my leg. The whole horse's weight was on me in the barriers and when it flipped over. So it's a real weird, in the race you can see I was actually riding side saddle. It was horrible because I couldn't put any weight on that leg.
Oh.
Yeah, so, but I didn't feel it after I got past.
I bet you didn't.
Didn't feel it after I got over the line. But then I had to ride in the next race, and horrible pain, disgusting. So I flew Sunday morning down to my surgeon in Melbourne. As soon as I got up on Sunday morning, I couldn't walk. I flew down to Melbourne to see my surgeon, and realised that I had a pretty bad tear on.
I'm just having a look at the photo we've got here in the studio of you crossing the line.
There's no pain in that face, is there?
But that face looks pretty happy.
Pretty happy.
Pretty stoked with life. But that would have been the inside, so we wouldn't have seen it anyway.
No, well, no one knew.
Sneaky.
Only the doctor on the day knew that, because I was icing in between each.
That's a man on a mission.
And I had 10 rides. That's the only reason I got through the day, because I didn't stop.
Yeah.
And kept it warm and kept it kind of moving.
That's a man on a mission out to win an Everest, and that he did.
That's what it does.
Let's see who does it this weekend. Well, that's another ep here of Who's the Boss. Don't forget, you can catch us on social media. We are on the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok, the YouTube. Greg Radley says the everything. He's like the Twitter, the tweet.
We're all over the place.
At Who's the Boss
There's
Pod.
no excuse.
There's no excuse for missing us. You can watch us. You can listen to us. You can even call us if you want. I don't know why I'm doing that. Anywhere that you get your good podcast from is where you can track us down. Please answer if I call.
Shit? Go and get... No, it's a good show. Sorry, mate. You're the wrong number.
We'll be back next week for another episode
That's your fault.
of Who's the Boss.
Good on you, Snooky.
Thanks,
Love your
Bossy. Love your work. Let's do it again.
We will.
Okay. There you have it, another episode of Who's the Boss. If you'd like to subscribe, you can head over this side. And if you'd like to see more content, head over this side. We'll catch you next time on Who's the Boss.